episode of Extreme Costumes. This week, we're going to show you the progress I've made on the costume as a whole. I've done a lot of changes to each piece individually. In some cases, repairing work that wasn't strong enough, and in other cases, adapting it so that it'll work better with the costume as a whole. Everything I tried worked initially on its own, but sometimes when you put one part with another, you end up having to do some additional work. Let's take a closer look. This is Bumblebee's helmet. I had to make some changes to it. Most of those changes were based on the fact that the earpieces had to be able to move up and down every time I talked. There's a real good reason for it. Let me show you why. When I'm in robot mode, head's going to be up here. When I drop down into car mode, it's going to pop through. But, as you can see, that turns into an enormous lock. So each one of these has to compress inwards. It only has to compress inwards a little bit. But that's enough. That Bumblebee's head can pop through without it turning into a giant lock. Now let's take a look at the arms. One of the goals of this new costume is that I'm able to get into it completely on my own. So I've added all new finger sheaths, ones that are easier to get into and held exactly in place with little rubber bands. So that means that I still have full fine control over each one of the fingers. It still brings that arm flare in for when I go into car mode, and yet I can still put my thumb right outside of it when I want to be able to change that volume. On the other hand, you'll see the same action goes there as well. And another nice feature, of course, this works exactly the same as this one does. And the importance of this is that I can get into it or out of it without any help. I've put an enormous amount of work into upgrading the torso. Let's take a closer look. The torso has several moving parts. There's the rear windshield, which has to slide forward as I stand up so that it doesn't kick me in the back of the legs. That works great as I bend upwards, and this is forced into the upward position. What it didn't do before was when I dropped into car mode, you'll see that now that slides downwards. And that's an important component because I won't be able to pull it into place when I'm in full robot mode. You'll notice that in addition to that, we made some changes on the inside as well. Let's flip it over. I put on a protective sheath of Wonderflex across all the electronics so that they're unlikely to be damaged by any loose parts or a random person. I've added these wheels in here. The function of them is that when this drops down, they're going to hit the PA system and roll to either side. That's going to push the headlights into the distinctive 30-degree angle that Bumblebee holds when he gets into his robot mode. So flat in the forward when you're in car mode, 30-degree angle when you're in robot mode. These are going to ride up and down. I'm still working in them to make them work just perfectly. I've also put sheaths of Wonderflex on the inside. And that's so that when I've got the hands on, and I want them to come inside the costume, they're not going to get caught all up in the metal pieces. Instead, they're just going to slide along. And I'll make a fist, and it won't lock into place. If all this is exposed, they lock in there really nice, which then you're stuck in it and it's very painful. This has been another episode of Extreme Costumes. Thanks for following along on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll tell you what, this is the most fun I've ever had.